Okay, perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so hey, so my name is Soheil. I'm pleased to be here to talk about building and growing your career in tech as an individual contributor. So a little bit about me. I'm an immigrant, moved to Canada from Iran in 2012. I've worked in tech industry for 6+ years, and I've created enterprise products for Fortune 500 companies. I've formed, led, and managed engineering teams, and I've recently started my own venture. So I just wanted to share 4 lessons along the way that I thought might be helpful to others, during the time, when I did these things that I mentioned. So I hope these will become something that you can use, a variation of them. Obviously, like each lesson is not accessible to everybody, but um, this I'll find like what helped me, learn and basically some things that I actually learn along the way. So these are the 4 lessons here. The first one is that your career is your life. So it's really important to have like a bigger kind of a picture in mind, because you can just get stuck into the shorter time period that you're in and just see that you're wasting time, or you're not very happy. So if you see things in a bigger picture, things it will become it makes much more sense. It will make much more sense. So in that same context, you could be doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or it doesn't really bring you to where you want to be. So it's good to realize and not spend time on those things. And if you want to change, if you're coming from tech to another industry, or you're coming to tech, it's actually pretty easy to self-educate yourself and build a new career. So it's never been a better time than now to learn and switch careers. And also, it's important to have fun along the way. It's a long journey and you need breaks. So make sure that you're actually having fun while you're building your career. So the second lesson I want to share is that having a job is a privilege. So you might be having a job right now. You might be employee, employer, but it's important to be grateful if you have one. So because economy can be in a tough position at times. So and a lot of pieces need to work together for somebody to get hired. So so make sure that you're grateful if you're having a job, and this can be not always be the case. And just understand what a job is. A job is a way for you to make money. It's nothing more than that. And in order for it to become more than that, you need to do something about it. So you need to build your own career. Companies have these kind of career advancement programs, but at the end of the day, if it needs to be really you who takes initiative, who takes the ownership of your own journey to make it something that's more meaningful to you. Yeah, and the third lesson is that for every job that you do, it's important to make yourself indispensable. And by that, I mean, make it really hard for your company to replace you with someone else. And that's really useful because for many reasons, and because your value will grow. And in order to do that, you always need to be on top of your knowledge hierarchy, be able to make sure that you're actually learning a lot on your job. 20%, I would say, at least 20% more than what your job requires. And it's important to not just be boxed into your role, but also understand how what you do helps your company make money. So what is the economy involved in this? What does your company sell? Are you involved in the sales cycle? Are you involved in building something that your company uses to sell? So it's important to understand your role, because if you do, then understands your value. And once you understand your value, you know how to work with it. And on the last points of this bullet, I would say it's important to not wait for promotion, and instead you can adopt responsibilities to embody your next role. So if you're looking to get the next promotion as a manager, or another role, see if you can do already what the next role will do. So that way you already are showing that you have capabilities, and it's an easier negotiation with your boss over your salary or a role change. That's the last point of this one. And finally, I would say seeking guidance is really important. So your individual output can be multiplied if you surround yourself with knowledgeable sources and experts, it is going to be amazing. Like if you just like allow yourself to be increase your service area of like what can be done rather than what is done. So like you can like just use all those resources to your own advantage. And there's so much content out there these days out there, so in internet and everywhere else. So it's really important to be able to curate them to you, to your level, because otherwise it's just so much information. And a lot of the times, like as you learn more, you know how to find information better. So it's in a way you're indexing data in your mind. So the curation is actually more important than, like all these like abundance of the data that you might have access to. And finally, it's really important to be humble in your career journey, because there's always something that you can learn from someone else. And it's a very good personality trait that would definitely help you in your career advancement. So these were the 4 lessons that I thought it might be worth sharing. And thank you for your time. And I hope this lessons help you in your journey into building growing your career in tech. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or Twitter. Yeah, and appreciate your time.
Thank you, Soheil John. This was great. Like this was like the 4 main points that you mentioned. But I want to know, like, I want to ask you about them. Like, I want to ask your personal experience with each. Like the first one that is very important for me to hear is, how did you make yourself indispensable? And what was that 20% more that you could do in your job that was beyond the job description?
Yeah, so I was lucky to have been with the company that I was at the time, like from the very beginning. So since we're like 15 people or something, so there was always more. Like it was not something that I had to like actively seek. There was always like just like we were trying to. There's so many different like product ideas, so many things. So there was always something that I knew that could be learned. So I could I had that advantage of like there was an abundance of like just streams that I could just like help my company, because the company needed so much help. It was a small startup. So that way, like, or any other way, even if you're like work at a corporate, which my company later became. So at each stage, like what the company needs are different. So it's important to like understand what those are. So and you can like ask questions, like ask your boss, ask your manager, like see what they're up to and like what is happening, and like basically understand what you could do. So there are some like obviously like what I've done more for my company was basically I've created one of the flagship products for my company, and it was a lot of it was from my own time. So it wasn't something that they paid me to do. So it was something that I like just did it because I loved the craft. I loved building. So I cannot hear you right now.
Sorry, I was muted. Do you want to talk about that that product, or is it something that you can talk about it?
Yeah. Actually, like I wrote a Medium article about it. I can send you the link for it because it's pretty long.
Yeah, sure. Send me the link, and also, if you can tell us what it was, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just find the link first.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a link to the article I wrote. This was like a kind of a big journey too. So yeah, so the email designer is actually like the main product that Bananatag uses to help content creators create newsletters collaboratively. And this was something that I started like as a kind of a side project, side hustle, and like basically worked on it for so many hours, brought it to company, and like basically executed, build a team around it, that actually like it became super successful. So for the company. So this was like an example of, like I'm not saying like people should do this, but like this is an example of, like basically you build something that, like within itself is a product, like within itself, we can like, just it shows so much value for the company, and like basically you can easily, like get closer to that market, like where your company is operating within. So yeah, there are like examples like that. I'm pretty sure that there's not a shortage of responsibilities for people to take on. It's rather, like I find it's almost like, just during your job, it's like it's harder to want to adopt responsibilities rather than, like there's a shortage of them. You just have to like be actively seeking them, and you'll find them everywhere.
So I'm actually looking at the article right now. Do you think, for you personally, we talked about how to do things like right now, but for you yourself, what's next in terms of, where do you want to go next in terms of your professional life?
Well, I am at what I want to do next right now. So I quit my job as a director of engineering and technology at Bananatag, and I started my own company. So like what I'm building right now is hopefully it's going to become something like it's going to be remotely as successful as my previous company. So we'll see how it goes. It's a startup venture and adventure, so there's a lot of risks involved. So you have to be optimistic and work hard.
Yes, and especially, the startup scene in Vancouver. It's I want to be very diplomatic here. It can be quite brutal, from my understanding, and I haven't started one myself, and this is not my field of expertise. But from my conversations, it can be very brutal, and for you to quit the director of engineering to start your own company, that's very brave, and I mean, the risks and rewards are both seem to be very high.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it is understandable though, right? Like, because if it was like easy and low risk, everybody would do it. Like there's not a lot of companies forming. Like out of them, there are not a lot of them succeeding. So it is kind of like it is the rules of the game. It's not really like any way around it. It's not just Vancouver. And like it's better now compared to any time in the past too. So I would say like the level playing field is even like better now compared to like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So
why is that?
Advantage.
Why is that?
Because there's like interest, and people have seen tech, like how much they've grown. Before it was something that people didn't really believe in it, like so there were not a lot of workers, there are a lot of investors, like so right now it is becoming a more established industry. So you can like just you can convince easier, I would say, for people to get on board, like to attract talent, attract investments. So there is and like obviously, like with the growth of technology, getting your product to the customers has also become much easier and much more smooth. So I would say it's like a very, very good time to start any companies.
Awesome. And I see that you attended Sharif. I was there long before you were.
Nice.
Entry of 2002, but I did not graduate. I was only there for 5 terms. So what do you think, like having that experience, because studying in Sharif and then UBC, like basically what do you bring with you when you go like to UBC, when you come to the techs here, to Bananatag, or to Cymax, the companies that you worked at? What do you bring to the table that is you, like basically that comes from Sharif, from studying in Iran, or other experiences that you have that's unique to you?
Yeah. So I say like maybe like with Sharif was it's a little bit of confidence. It's a good university in Iran. Like, and when you graduate, you feel like just even though like you feel a little bit of, oh, maybe I can take like a little bit of a harder task or something. So it's a little bit of like confidence I think you get, like having graduated from that university. And obviously there's like academic courses too that help. Like I was a TA for programming in Sheriff, so it was a bit of, like getting closer, like to like just the core of, like the computer science to some extent, even though my degree was not. And UBC too is obviously was my gateway to coming to Canada. So like it's I came through studying at UBC, so it was a way for me to like immigrate to. And yeah, I say like obviously like universities are a great potential to help you like achieve, like good network, like a good source of knowledge, and also support maybe later in your career. For me, it was like both the network to some degree and like the knowledge, and obviously the opportunities that it brought with me.
Awesome. Well, usually what we do in our meetings is like we ask our guests to offer us a takeaway. Basically, what should the people who hear these words from you, what should be their takeaway be?
I think my whole presentation was takeaway.
I know, yes, it was, and that's why I'm asking you to condense it into like 1 or 2 sentences.
Mm-hmm. Let me think about this. Yeah, maybe something I didn't really write about is the mindset. I think it's important to adjust your mindset to like and be optimistic about like everything. So just try to make the most out of it. So I would say like it really helps, like your career and your when you're building and growing it to be optimistic and just try to, like it's easy to go into the negative zone because it's default zone, but you have to work hard to get yourself out of it. So I would say staying optimistic and just like seeking optimism throughout your career is really, really important.
Okay, so if I summarize it, summarize what I heard, basically adjust your mindset to be optimistic about everything. It is easy to get into the negative zone, and it is a lot of work to get out of it.
Yeah, yeah, you summarize it better than I said it.
I tried. And I also, I mean, another thing that I see, like, and I looked at your article, which was written last year, and your final words here are just interesting, and I want to read it. Basically, taking a leap can seem scary. There are a lot of uncertainties and pitfalls that are inevitable. Despite that, bold moves are necessary to make a big impact on others' lives. I have learned through my journey with Picasso that following your intuition, breaking your idea into smaller, achievable steps, and surrounding yourself with people who encourage you and inspire you will enable you to create something that could be the most rewarding experience of your life. I hope that's my story encourages you to take that leap as well. That leap is scary, man. Jeez. I got to tell you that the leap is scary for a lot of people, myself included. You did not really talk about Picasso, but if you want, you can do that. If not, that's fine.
Yeah, I think this is like I would love to talk about it another day, maybe. Like it is like yeah, it's so much of a journey that I wrote an article about it. Obviously, I shared the link for it too here, but yeah, happy to talk maybe like just one of the sessions next year or something if you have any, so we can like chat more about it later. But yeah, it was obviously like one of the big projects that I've done, and it has like a lot of impact personally, professionally for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. I'll stop the recording now.